Hello, everyone. This is going to be my review for the new Disney film Cruella. Thank you guys for tuning in for the review. When this review is over, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. This video, to give you some context, this review is overdue. I initially already did a review, and then obviously it's like starting a new channel. Technical difficulties could happen, and basically had to basically redo the review all over again. But at least I still have my notes. So let's just go right into it. Very excited to go into this movie. Um, One of the things one way I'm gonna structure this video is that first I'm gonna give my first impressions of the film going into it. Then I'm gonna give my brief synopsis of the film. Then I'm gonna go through the story, give my pros, my cons, and give my overall score at the end. And also, this film has just been announced for a sequel, so I'm gonna give my theories or speculations about what I want to expect for the sequel of next installment of Cruella. So let's get right into the review. All right, 1 second. So, the Academy Award winner Emma Stone stars in Disney's Cruella, an all-new live-action feature about the rebellious early days of one of cinema's most notorious and fashionable villains, the legendary Cruella de Vil. Cruella, which is set in 1970 London amidst the punk rock revolution, follows a young, gifted named Estella, a clever and creative girl determined to make a name for herself in her designs. She befriends a pair of young thieves known as Jasper and Horace, um, who appreciate her appetite for mischief, and together they are able to build a life for themselves on the streets of London. One day, Estella's flair for fashion catches the eye of the Baroness, played by Emma Thompson, who is devastatingly chic and terrifying. This is played by Emma Thompson, and she does a fantastic job in this film, which we'll go into later. However, through the film, their relationship sets in motion in a course of actions and revelations that will cause Estella to embrace her wicked side and become the raucous, fashionable, and revenge-bent Cruella. So, going into this film, I just gotta say, 101 Dalmatians is like was a kid was one of my favorites when I was a little kid. So I haven't seen the movie like in years. I did for a bit, watch it again for the make for before I go saw this film. Um, and one of the things that I thought when the casting of this film, when I was seeing the new Disney investors meeting that happened a few months ago, prior to when WandaVision came out and the Winter Falcon Winter Soldier, I was waiting to see what they're going to show. And I gotta say, from the first trailer, I thought it was very beautiful. The aesthetic of this film was actually very intriguing, especially set in a period piece in 1970. Casting Emma Stone, I thought that was a interesting casting, but I think that went very well. But I just thought that going into this film, especially this is one of the first films going back since obviously right now the theaters are reopening due to the pandemic, and I was really in for a treat, not knowing what to expect, but not having high expectations from it. And obviously, from past Disney installments like Maleficent by Angelina Jolie, I thought maybe, which I really wasn't fond of, I didn't know what to expect from this one. But I gotta say, this film did not suck. It really did not suck. To any parents who want to send your kids out to this, now is it worth paying the $30 for Disney Plus? Absolutely not. Now, is it worth for a early bird special for $8 at a early Saturday morning? Take your kids out and go and watch the film. Yeah, or you can just wait till August and see the film on Disney Plus, with your already subscription. But yeah, this film is not worth you paying the $30 at Disney Plus at all. So just frankly, just telling you there, any parents or anything like that. So one of the things, if you are going to watch it at Disney Plus, with the premium access, don't watch it at home. Watch it at a friend's home. That's how you can save your money. Going to the rest of the beginning of the movie, it starts out with a young Cruella, or I should call her Estella. The Cruella is a nickname her mother, who raises her, call her after she's being a kid in school, basically getting in trouble a lot. Now, one of the things I thought that was very interesting in this film, that they had, she was born with having split hair of white and black. Now, to me, I didn't think that was actually just like really kind of overdoing it. I'm just like, usually I just thought it'd be simple as a fashion designer, as a graphic design major myself. I'm like, I see people, they change up their hairs all the time, and he was very creative. And I'm like, well, why can't you just simply just dye her hair? But I mean, I guess you want to do that. It's Disney, so whatever. For dramatic effect, go ahead and do it. But beginning this film, we find her being raised by her mother, and she's about to get expelled to school. So the character of her mother goes to the Baroness, who is basically saying, help her take care of her daughter and everything like that. But all of a sudden, what happens? Her mother unfortunately dies by the Baroness, which you find out later in the film. But she's killed by, you guessed it, Dalmatians. Now I would think that this will actually cause her to actually be creating her anger or disdain for dogs or fur, or anger for Dalmatians. But no, it just basically her Dalmatians killed her, and now basically was the end of it. But and she had this revenge story, and she basically went off as a child, running away now as an orphan, and basically she ran into the characters of Jasper and Horace. Now I think aside from the Disney film years ago, I felt like they very humanized them. Obviously, just being the mindless goons and not being the main characters of the story, I felt like that they did a really good job of trying to humanize them and make them more relatable people. So before Emma Stone becomes Cruella, she's just basically a girl, Estella, on the street, pickpocketing folks, almost like a Catwoman type of personality, which I actually liked. I thought that, as kids, they felt they were kind of really good, and the relationship was kind of very well. I felt like the explanation of how she met, Jasper and Horace was actually done very well. Now going to just the performances in this film, Emma Stone obviously steals the show. I felt that she did a really good job doing the dual personalities of Cruella and Estella. And as you see here, this is her persona as Estella, and then before she becomes the iconic character we know. But going to transition of her character is something that she hasn't been diving into more evil side. I felt Emma Stone as her being many films like La La Land, the Spider-Man movies, um, uh, she in Birdman and other films like that. She's just one of and being an Academy Award winner, there's no mistaking that she well deserved because this film she knocks out of the par. However, this film does come with a double Emma double hitter. Because Emma Thompson also does not disappoint in this film as well, being playing the Baroness. Now, one of the things I felt that every scene that she was in, if Emma Stone wasn't still in the show, it was Emma Thompson. So I felt as them as being the two leads in this film, being the antagonist and protagonist, they basically the synergy of them every time they're on screen was perfect, and I felt it was very entertaining. Um, Going into the rest of the film with the characters, I felt though out of the whole gang, out of Jasper and Horace, Jasper was the one that I felt like I found more fond of and had felt that was written very well. Horace was basically kind of more comedic relief, more for just humanizing the mindless goon that we know. But Jasper was more of uh, the level-headed person. He was the voice of reason in the gang and stuff like that. But at the same time, he's protective and cares about Corella as just Horace does. So I felt that showed that relationship going through, and I felt like they did it very well. Going to the next person they had, Anita. Now I got to shout out to Disney for showing you diversity here, because especially in the 1970s, now switching the race of Anita to a black actress, I felt very interesting. I didn't really know that until actually watching the film. Like, oh wait, Anita's black. Okay, cool. So, and sure, being a journalist and everything like that, I felt compared to the original series, how they met as college students, but in this movie, they were just kids at a boarding school when they were younger. So I felt that the diversity in this film would felt very good. They even have I don't have a picture here. They also have an LGBT character who's like a fashion designer in a brick and mortar store. But I felt like he was also a good addition to. I felt they just kind of normalized people in terms of showing different, ethnicity, race, sexualities, and everything in this film. But in the time period of the 70s was kind of like a little bit interesting. But I felt like Disney, they just basically made it normal, and I like that. I felt that's very good. Um, but like again, I have to say that Emma Stone felt like she did the best part of actually playing duality of the character, uh, almost making her like almost like below the whole like a Batman type of character. Her persona is Estella, but really she's Cruella, and I feel like they played that synergy out there very well as an actress and stuff. But that goes into the next point that I felt as someone who's double majoring in IT and graphic design, as someone who appreciates the arts or design and aesthetics, I feel that that this film was actually very beautiful. Actually, like whoever it was a set designer for this, the costume designer obviously was making the dresses and the outfits that Cruella was wearing or Emma Stone was wearing. I felt was done very well. It was also very like the way there was one scene in this film they did where she was in a trash. She was wearing a dress, but she come out of a trash bag truck, and but basically her entire dress was just overflowing, and then he drove the truck away, but it was like a long pause where the tail of her dress was just like trailing her and stuff. It was actually, and I thought that was done by visual effects in the trailer, but it actually was kind of really looked like really real, like a practical effect. So I thought that was kind of good. Just the unique designs they were doing for her, making creative. I thought that was very good. Another thing I have to say is the relationship between Emma Stone and the Baroness. I felt that was kind of the rivalry they had. They find there were two sides of the same coin, and lo and behold, you do find out. And spoiler alert: if you find out in this when you watch this film, you didn't find out that the Baroness was actually the birth mother of Cruella. And which explains why she's so evil and so everything like that, which makes it a more personal story. And I felt the reveal, I felt to me wasn't really obvious until then when Mark Strong character came in. But I felt they did a very good job. Very in terms of the pacing of this film and really showing that, well, is Estella really going to make it, and also what some things that Cruella can learn from the Baroness in terms of how to be the woman of power that we all know that she will be eventually. I felt that there's some type of, lo and behold, like Jedi and Padawan learning that, hey, you must pass on knowledge and wisdom to this person, even though there's two opposite sides of the same coin. And Baroness is a hateful one person who sent her child off. She want nothing to do with Corella when she was born. She only cares about herself and everything like that. So I thought, the way Emma Thompson displayed the emotion of that character, and actually the blunt nature of a parent who just didn't give a crap about their child at all. And also just as a woman in power in the industry of fashion, it really, I can explain it that she kind of give the vibes off of Meryl Streep from Devil Wears Prada. And I think that the Devil Wears Prada is like the Disney version, is basically Cruella. In my opinion, this is what I feel like that Disney, I felt, probably was their approach to doing. If it didn't, this is what I saw was connection. And I thought they did very well. But the biggest flaw I had with this film was, one is when they actually connected the lore of 101 Dalmatians to Cruella. One of the biggest things is the fact that she's not obsessed with fur at all in this film. Um, she Many times where dogs here, she has a dog herself. They have dogs here now. Another thing, the CGI and the dogs were also not really good. I don't know. I'm a technical guy, so I can spot that a mile away. Some of it was kind of off putting, um, but yeah, I felt like they really didn't determine the part where this film failed was connecting it to the lore that we all know, which I think is an issue with just making films about a villain's origin story, because usually the trope of villains stories that we see, that maybe they just might be misunderstood heroes or anti-heroes or whatever like that. But I feel like in this film, like, she's the character is based out of, she's a obsessed with fur villain who wants to kill puppies for their fur to make dresses. That she in like said, and to me, it's like there's no way of you actually humanizing her to someone. She's a cruel woman, no pun intended. But I felt like they didn't really, and there was small bits of time in the, especially relationship between Jasper and Corella, when she finally when Emma Stone character now uh accepts the Corella persona, and she fully embraces it. She's now becoming cruel. She's becoming more bitter, angry, or more passive aggressive, and more ambitious and determined. But there was only moments of her being actually cruel, but it just didn't go further into it. Because, and I guess it's just for us as the audience to actually like her. I like this version of Emma Stone, this version of Cruella, more than I like the original one. But even though the original one is the iconic one we all know and love, and she's the actual villain person, but I felt like they didn't do that very well. Another thing that I had issue with was actually going to here the music, the soundtrack. I have seen so many films in the last, since I won't say since 2014, since the Guardians of the Galaxy came out. There's been this notion out here that you having a soundtrack compilation of the 90s, 80s, and 70s therefore makes you have a good soundtrack. To me, I don't buy that. You may give me that on Guardians of the Galaxy. Hey, you might even do that with Suicide Squad. But more times it gets so kind of completely repetitive. Even with Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder's the soundtrack of this film, uh, it just kind of be kind of inconsistent, and sometimes it's like, okay, here's another soundtrack of 80 top hits in the 80s, 90s, and 70s. even to the when the film was not even taking place in, songs from different time eras and stuff. I think that just goes to a question of like what actually makes a good soundtrack. What defines what a good actual score of this film is, which I thought the original score of this film was actually good, but more of the punk rock feel of it. I think that's what they're trying to do. But as just I've been kind of as a someone who been watching films repetitively, I kind of seen this constant thread of just having a nice soundtrack as just your film is I think it's almost a uh easy pass. And to me, I just can't accept that. But going to the future. So Corella has just been announced for having a sequel based on the success of Disney Plus and the limited releases it has in the theaters. Disney decided to actually announce a sequel to Corella because at the end of this film, you find out, which also goes to another problem, them connecting it to the lore of 101 Dalmatians. Anita and another character in the film who's also another race, you find out is Roger, who's a lawyer. Corella, after she claims uh, the persona of Baron, or the worth of Baroness, the house and everything that we all know with the mansion that she lives in, and now all of her income and revenue, all this stuff, her wealth that finally to her family's name, she claims. All of a sudden, now at the end of the film, the end credit scene or the post credit scene, she sends two puppies of Dalmatians, which she still has, of the Baroness's puppies who killed her adopted mother. Um, she sends these dogs and as the pet for Anita and pet for Roger, which you know is the dogs or the parent of the 101 Dalmatians in the original film. And to me, I'm like, okay, in the but the logic of this is if you were trying to go get these dogs, like we know what the story is, right? She's trying to steal these dogs, has Horace and Jasper steal these dogs so she can get their fur, because she's obsessed with fur. But if you were going to send these dogs and trying to steal them, why would you send them in the first place and just breed these dogs, the puppies yourself? I don't know. That's just saying. It didn't make any sense to me. It's the inconsistency of storytelling that they did the narratively to have a RA fix lore because you can't change the lore. You can say, oh, this is where this character was, but this is we know where they're heading to. You can't change the actual lore that you established this character to be based off of. So I just didn't think that they didn't do a really inconsistent job. But in the sequel, I hope they do this. So my speculation for the sequel, I hope they do. In theory, is that they need to villainize Cruella. They need to villainize her. They need to make her a person like now, making her the cruel woman that we all know. And also, they need to insinuate her obsession with fur. They have to convey that because Emma Stone, I know she can do as an actress. I think this is based off of a screenwriter and the script of whoever is in terms of writing this character, the dialogue, the narrative of her arc, and where it's actually going to go, what's going to be the overall arching story of Cruella to the point to getting to 101 Dalmatians. Now, I don't know how far they're gonna go because also the Baroness she doesn't die in this film, so I'm thinking hopefully they can keep that relationship with her so they can keep Cruella can actually learn from Baroness. So, but obviously, I just hope they do something where they villainize her a little bit more, and that's where they kind of just dropped the ball in this film. This film did not suck; it was very entertaining. It was 2.5 hours long. It did not have to be that long, but I think for a good Disney film, it basically hit all the marks. So, I'm going to give this film, give my review of this. I'm gonna give it a whopping 7 out of 10. This was a very entertaining film. This was probably one of the best Disney live action films of a character origin in a while I've seen. I mean, this to me this is better than Maleficent 1 and 2. So I thought this film did a really good job. But that concludes the end of my review. Thank you guys for coming. This is I'm Jedi Mike 7. You can make sure you hit the find me at Jedi Mike 7 on Instagram and YouTube. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think about the film if you have seen it. And thank you guys. And again, my name is Jedi Mike 7. Until next time, God bless you. Bye bye.